Hi, I'm Rob from HopZine.com. Thanks for joining me for another video beer review. This time we're looking at a bottle of the Kernel Brewery's Pale Ale Simcoe Plus, and the Plus is Moto Echo, Topaz and Centennial. I'm setting myself a little bit of a challenge this time. If you tuned into this, God bless you, thank you very much. But I've reviewed quite a lot of Kernel beers, and I mean, I'm sure you, as equally as I'm getting tired of using the same old descriptors, concentrating on the same things, I'm going to try and not mention kind of citrus and dankness, because there's Simcoe in here, and grapefruit and all this, and all the obvious things, because you're expecting that, and I'm expecting that. So let's see how we can get through this review without kind of touching on all the old typical touchstones. It's going to be difficult. Let's take it from me. You get yourself in this kind of little bit of a, it's not a rut, but a formulated kind of approach to doing this. So let's see what we can pull out of this and also reflect on. Anyway, it might not all be positive. Probably won't be. When you're not kind of like looking at the perfections of a glass of beer, I guess you start emphasising the imperfections. So it's 5.6% ABV. Kernel Pale Ales I'm a massive fan of. Recently, to be honest, there's been a bit of a drop off in quality in the ones that I've had, and I've started preferring their IPAs, which it used to be the other way around. Anyway, beer in the glass. Well, you can see what's going on there. There is a haze to it. The head is quite a fluffy, bubbly kind of thing going on, but a very hazy, yellowy orange, as you'd expect. So let's check out the aroma. So it's all in there as you'd expect: citrus, grapefruit, blah blah blah. Personally, I guess there's one thing that I'm really picking up on now. And it's one thing that you'll get if you get to the bottom of a bottle of Kernel, and also if you're washing one out, is the smell of their yeast strain, which has it's kind of like a quality of kind of wet limestone. It's that kind of mineral quality to it. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a ridiculous amount of all those lovely fruit bowl kind of characteristics, but also very floral. One thing that I'd probably find quite interesting if I knew more about it is the quality of the water. This is inner city London. I'm sure their water sources are amazing. I'd be fascinated to see what kind of water treatments Kernel go through, because I'm sure they have to do quite a lot. And because of that, they're not on the upper hand that breweries in areas with like really interesting water sources, like Buxton, places up in Scotland and stuff like that. They've got a really interesting, they've got a lovely base characteristic from that pure kind of spring water a lot of the time. Kernel don't have that. But there is a certain characteristic which is definitely running through this beer, and that's something I definitely disregard all the time, and I'd say that's that yeast. You see, I'm suspecting maybe like a White Labs yeast strain, maybe something as straightforward as their California Pale Ale yeast. It's really clean, but it does remind me of the smell of making a hoppy beer when I homebrew, and when I've dry hopped it ridiculously. When you've run it all off to bottle, that smell of yeast and really uber fresh hops. Anyway, dry hopping, it's definitely got the aroma of that. So let's dive in. Too much waffle so far. It's been a challenge to kind of do it in this way, so it might be a bit longer. Anyway, let's dive in. Cheers. It's very nice. One thing I'll say is the Simcoe really does kind of shoot through in this, and I guess that might be why they call it Simcoe Plus, because it is prime. I'm just completely speculating. It might be that Simcoe is the most prominent, most plentiful hop in this beer, and then the rest of them playing their kind of like little their role. It's like if you put a lot of oregano in something, you might put a bit of parsley in them, you might put a bit of I don't know, something else. You've put in various ones, but you've got one what's doing the kind of main job. There is a kind of a dry hay kind of thing going on in there, and slightly ratty kind of like note as well. I guess that might be the Simcoe. This is a predictable thing to say, but it is very dank. Slightly soapy, but definitely quite a wheaty note in there. It's not the fruit bowl that you expect from the nose. It is a bit more kind of dank, definitely. Ending with a quite a dry bitterness. I guess this is the thing with me now preferring their IPAs. I think that a little bit more sweetness goes a long way with this, because it is virgin or maybe a little bit kind of too much on the bitterness. It needs a little bit more sweetness to kind of bring it through. But to be honest, is that the change in my taste, as people's kind of taste do change periodically? And for me, I think this is going a little bit too bitter. Well, unbalanced maybe. I like a bit more sweetness, I guess, than that. So, that's a beer review where I didn't say pithy, or grapefruit, or bitter lemon, or anything like that. It may have taken a bit longer, but we got there in the end. All in all, it's a good beer, but I've said this before. Eventually, I have to just start comparing Kernel to themselves, because they become very distinct, and they are extremely good, and they're doing a massive variety of experimentation with hop combinations. And I guess that's a really interesting thing. That's one of the things what really excites me about Kernel, is because how does that work? I mean, what works well with this one? And it's interesting to find out which combination of hops that I like. To be honest, their Topaz IPA was lovely. Pretty much everything they've done with Motorbeck has been incredible, and Centennial as well. Once again, is it me coming back around? Is Simcoe not my flavour at the moment? I went through a peak where I was loving it, and I loved it in a lot of things. I brewed with it quite a lot as well. Maybe I drunk too much of that homebrew with shitloads of Simcoe in it, and I've gone off it again. Anyway, so that was like my little experimentation, trying not to use all my kind of tired old cliches about talking about a Kernel beer. It's a good one, but for me, could be better. For me personally, it's not a bad beer at all. It's a fantastic beer. I'm sure some people will be tripping over themselves whilst drinking this beer, but for me, it needs a little bit of something different. Anyway, I'm Rob from HopZine.com. See you next time. Cheers.